Assalamu alaikum, sisters. Thank you for coming. So far we're total 4 people, and inshallah, as people come, I'm gonna keep them joining in. So we might as well begin. Today's workshop, it's not a very long one, but yet I have tried to make it very helpful and useful for us, for our professional as well as household lives. So it's about procrastination. It's about delaying our everyday tasks, chores, as you can say, and how to help ourselves not to do that and to be more productive. So thank you for coming in. And as you can see the screen, if you have any questions, you can leave a message and I can read it with the presentation. But as you can see on the screen, so we joined, and at 17, 10 past 17, we start our workshop. So actually, the thing is, like, my project is about Muslim women and integration into Finnish society, and what are the obstacles that we face in trying to find work, trying to find a study place here in Finland, and how to improve our situations. So all these workshops are intended with the purpose that we kind of learn to be more productive, learn to improve ourselves, like self-development things. So I'd like to mention that I'm going to record this to my cloud, Zoom cloud. So if somebody has an issue with that, please kindly mention. So I wouldn't upload it on my YouTube channel later on. But just so you know that I would be recording this workshop, and I hope you can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Thank you for joining in. And we we begin. Just a second. Okay, so we have this intro, and then we have tips to be more productive. Very small and basic tips. If you want to write these down, you can. And if you want that I send you the presentation after this workshop, I can email you the presentations. Uh, and That would be easier. Like, you can send me a private message, or on any social media, I can send you this via email. If you want to write it down, then that would be nice, because these are more than 21 to 25 points in total. You might not be able to remember them. So, and then after that are 21 points to eat that frog. Now that's a very curious term. You might be wondering what's eating a frog. Well, actually, I consulted a book some years back. I read a book about how to overcome procrastination, and during my university years here in Finland, and because I used to procrastinate a lot with my tasks, and that started giving me stress overall, so much so that I started seeing a counselor myself, like, and started taking professionals help. But just because I wasn't able to manage my tasks every day, so I learned it the hard way, and then I started getting into it. And today I'm going to tell you in summary, like, how to eat that frog, how to overcome procrastination, how to be more productive. At 6 or 7 slides about the value of time in Islam. So because what Amal does is, Amal, my organization, that we are like cultural sensitive work, and we're religious sensitive social worker. So we try to improve time through Islam's perspective as well in this workshop. Okay, so let's begin. Excuse me. Yes. Uh, be more productive. We start with little bit tips about how we can be more productive. The first thing, and it's very like easy, like every day we think about it, like, yeah, I have to set goals. We hear Bill Gates say, like, you have to set goals. We have all these famous successful people always telling us what to do and how we can be more productive with our life, with our time, and with our success. uh, but what goals? I mean, we need to know how to go through a priority. What goals we are setting in. but because we're talking, you can take it as like a stay at home mom, you can take this presentation as a working woman, as a student. So most probably I would take it as a working woman because that's my life right now. But depending on the situation, you can adjust all these points. Like, okay, setting goals, like what you desire to achieve, what's your task, what do you want to do in a month's time, in a 2 months time, in this whole year. So we will get into detail in that later on. So because sometimes when you set goals, it acts as a motivator for you, and you just don't need to set them, you have to write them down somewhere, make an uh, make a note on your mobile phone, make a document on Google Docs, make an Excel sheet, whatever you need to do, just to have a visual effect of what you want to achieve, and how when you cut that little task down in the end, it's going to make you feel. The second one is visualization. uh, like you can make yourself visualize how when you complete a certain task it's going to make you feel. I used to do that in my university years. It was like bachelor degree over here is like 4 years. So, and I was redoing it, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, I still got like 3 years to go, I've still got 2 years to go. And no matter how hard I worked, there were still so many credits left, there were still so many setbacks, so many obstacles in the way. But what kept me going was I would visualize my graduation day, and that kept me like moving. And there came a point where I was like halfway in between, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. Like, there's just still so much time left. And that's when somebody suggested, like, this time comes to everybody, like when they are in the middle of some task and they're like, should I or should I not? But you're already halfway in. Just look at it as a glass half full rather than half empty. So that keeps you going. And positive affirmation, like you have to tell yourself that you can do it. It's not that big a task. It's not that, it might seem like a mountain to you right now, but you can do it. You have the capability to do it. You have to buck yourself up every day. Sometimes people use a negative as affirmations, especially I feel, as growing up. In my household, people would be like, my elder siblings or my mom would be like, you really have to work hard in this, I don't think you can do it otherwise. And that wouldn't work for me. I was the kind of person, now I realize, like I needed a positive affirmation. I needed to listen to people tell me like I could do it. Because when you tell somebody like it's difficult, you have to work hard, I understand the part where that's coming from. But that's like, it doesn't work on everybody. So maybe some kids, it would be easy to get negative affirmation. But I think I always would go with positive affirmation. You have to tell yourself to do it now, do it quickly, and do it well. So when you keep on telling yourself and you keep on bucking yourself up, you kind of just put it into your subconscious. And that is kind of a motivator for us, and okay. And then we have to set deadlines. We have to set deadlines for ourselves. If I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have to set a deadline to the closet cleaning. If I'm at work, I have to set a deadline for a particular number of clients that I'm going to have by the end of the task, or by the end of the month, or by the end of the year. Like, we have to set deadlines. And deadlines, although they do work when you set them up for your own self, but it happens, so like, not necessarily. So if you want to solidify your commitment to a task, you can make a deadline with somebody else. For example, you can tell a friend like, yeah, I've got this house to clean, this closet to fix. Then maybe we can hang out later, maybe next day, maybe next week. And then it's gonna keep on pushing you in a way, like, I have made a commitment, I have to fulfill it. Or you can give a deadline for your own self to your boss, like, yes, inshallah, I'm gonna submit this certain thing to you, a presentation or a client sheet or anything. So if you're making a commitment of setting a deadline with other people, it kind of solidifies it. And reward system, yes. Like, if you've heard about operant conditioning in psychology, it's kind of basic psychology that we ever know about. It means that we can give ourselves awards, rewards basically. For example, if I finish a certain task, I might eat a bar of chocolate. If I do if I eat my frog, basically, frog is when we talk about eating the frog is that big thing that we're gonna eat in a day. That's the most difficult task that we have to do in a day. We are gonna eat it. So if I eat my frog for today, I might go out and do those extra stuff that might seem very colorful right now. For example, I might go out for walks. Like positive operant conditioning for some people. If you have a show on TV but you've been putting it off, you can complete your task, you can eat your frog, and then you can enjoy your show. But just imagine, like, not having done enough at work, related to work, and not just procrastinating. And at the end of the day, you don't enjoy reading a book, you don't enjoy doing a hobby, you just sleep with a heavy heart, because you know in the back of your mind that you were supposed to do something, but you didn't. Refuse. Okay, yes, the biggest thing that we we notice with procrastinators is that uh, we kind of like rationalize why we do procrastination. For example, I do that. When I procrastinate, I justify it to myself, I justify it to my husband, I justify it to my boss, I justify it to my friends, I justify it to people, because this was certain something wrong that I couldn't do it. At the end, like, if I because I'm trying to rationalize my behavior, what we need to do is we need to refuse to do it. If I haven't done certain thing, I need to stand up to it. Like, I need to accept that, okay, I was being lazy. The thing was with me. I don't have to justify it to anyone and make excuses for the delays constantly. Because if you remember growing up, and the kids who wouldn't do their homework in the class would always have, like, the cat ate my homework, the dog tore it up, like, mom spilled tea on my homework. It's those excuses all our lives, we carry them along with us. But I mean, after some time it gets tedious to listen to them again and again. Okay. And accepting responsibility, that's very important when we are working in a group, when we have to be accountable as a group, as a team, at work, in studies, in any walk of life. We kind of think, we kind of imagine that everybody would be putting in their maximum effort, which doesn't happen so unfortunately. Because even like there's somebody who would be putting nothing in, nothing, not even their words, not even their thoughts, not even their actions. And then there would be somebody who would be doing 80% of the work. But the thing about reaching a goal and being more productive is, like, we cannot rely on others. If you're working in a group, just rely on yourself. If you need to achieve a target, do not rely on your whole group. Because sometime in, like, when you're halfway in some project, you kind of realize like how much what person is doing, but rather than to resist it, just reach your goal and then give your superiors the feedback, the teachers, the supervisor, anybody, what has been happening. And if it makes you feel better, it's always good to keep a record of what you have been doing in a group, because in the end it's kind of like a biggest reason for disagreements, arguments in a group work. Like, because you have been working a lot and not nobody else is kind of but at the end everybody likes to take credit and everybody likes to take applause. But always keep a record, rely on yourself, don't depend on others to complete the task that you think they wouldn't. Okay, now we come to the part about being more productive. Eat that frog. Okay, it's a very gross picture. I found it in Google, but it kind of tells you it's a very distasteful task. Eating a frog. Eating a frog is a productivity method. All it's a book written by an author, Brian Tracy, and it's like an award winning book about productivity, about getting rid of procrastination. This is from where I have taken my references, and I have made my presentation, and I have taken inspiration if I want to do something in my life. And during those university years where I was telling you, like, as a mom, I was stressed out and I needed to see a psychotherapist because at the end of it, I just couldn't manage my tasks. At the end of the day, that was one of my biggest reasons for having stress. So my husband helped me out with this book. He helped me out with mapping. He helped me out listing all these things that are going to make my life easy. And when every year that ended and I knew that I have achieved my goals and tasks, that was such a nice feeling. Like, I can't even explain. And I did actually did my graduation on time. I did not delay. So that's kind of like a rewarding thing to do. So, okay, Mark Twain, he says, eat a live frog first thing in the morning, and nothing worse can happen to you all day. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, the worst thing you can do is eating a live frog. Frog means, the connotation means that you're doing the worst, the most difficult job of the day that you had to do. It's like cutting it out of your bucket list. So, eating a frog, doing that huge task that you have been delaying to do, or it seems like a mountain load of work to do, is the most important and impactful task to complete in a day, in a month, in a year. But if we need to keep on moving forward, we need to constantly eat our frogs. This book is based on 21 principles, some of them where you can see the repetition coming again and again. But because they are so important that we see this repetition, excuse me. Okay, yes. So we start with number one. We have to define, like we said in the previous set of tips about being productive, we have to define goals and write them down somewhere. Depending on how we are feeling in a day, depending on the state of our mental health and many other factors, they're not reliable. Mental lists are good for short-term period, like, yeah, I'm going to do groceries. Even then, I don't rely on my memory. Every time I have to write it down. Like, on my cell phone right now, there are lists and lists of things that I need to do. And even when we're doing the team meeting, I'm making a constant list and just sticking it at the end of every task. Like, I have to tick that. That gives me a wholesome feeling. Okay, the thing about not written goals or objective is a goal or an objective that is not written down is merely a wish or a fantasy. Very nicely said and done. Yes, you can kind of like relate to it at times. What we need to do is we need to take a page, we need to take an application or whatever, write it down, write our goals down, set a deadline. Like, when do we need it finished? Uh, and then break down the tasks into micro tasks. These tasks will be your frogs for every day. You can use technical resources, and life is very much easy now as the technology has improved. Like, we literally have an organizer in our cell phones, in our computers all the time. So we can use planners, calendars, Excel sheets, and we can use techniques as mind mapping I really like, especially for long term goals, for example a year or 2 year later on goals. I like to do that. That kind of clarifies a lot of things for me. And then what do we have? Just a minute. Okay, create plans for what you will work on. Okay, planning. So first thing was like writing down the goals and breaking them into tasks. Tasks were our frogs later on, the things that we usually would procrastinate on. The number two thing is, like, we need to make plans. Okay, how do we need to make plans? Again, write them down. There would be a main list. A main list would consist of maybe a 5 year term planning, like a country usually does. And then there's this monthly list, there's a weekly list, there's a daily list. And you can also search for apps that can be used as tools to make these planning details of yours. So write down tasks under each of these lists. What is required to achieve your goal? Professionally and academically, I think this would help you a lot because I have been through it. And yes, that's what I did when I was trying to do my graduation. Okay. Number three is focus on your 20% tasks. Okay, what happens usually is we have a workload of 100%, but what we do is we start doing stuff that is not important for us. For example, little things that we don't have to be like accountable for at the end of the week in front of our boss. They mean nothing, but we are getting them done, and we are getting those little satisfaction of to do lists. But just focus on the big 20% of your tasks, the difficult ones, the ones that you're kind of like deliberately procrastinating and delaying for later on. Sometimes these 20% of your tasks are kind of like they kind of they give you the revenue for the rest of the 80% of your time. So always prioritize. I always like know what tasks are important for you, what are the and we always know that because we deep down inside we have that you can say like we have that feeling that, oh my god, do we have to do this? Let's just delay it another day and do the unimportant stuff first, the fun stuff first. And think long term. Basically, sometimes we are given a list of tasks by our superiors when working, by our teachers, and for some there are no consequences at all. But you need to know like what are those things that you will not to be well, you will not be asked for. There won't be any negative consequences for those. Just learn to prioritize, like do the important stuff first. Usually, when I was studying, I would see like halfway in, or even less than that, my friends, they would start working on their thesis. And I was the sort of person, I needed to take everything one step at a time. So for me, thesis was the last frog. Even though now I realize like the ones who started their thesis along with their credits, they were like they got free really easy, and then they got into workforce really quick. And for the rest who were like me, who put on thesis in the end, it was like that frog that we really had to swallow. And we did because time was running out, but there was no other motivation to do it. But I feel like next time when I continue with my academic years, inshallah, like I would definitely try to do my thesis along with my credits, just to give you an example. And procrastinate on purpose, like okay, you might be asking like what does procrastinate on purpose mean, where we're not talking about procrastination here, but the thing is like realistically speaking, procrastination is delaying somehow, but you need to know where you're procrastinating, like on your important things, no, we don't want to do that. On the less important things, yeah, you can do that. But the successful people, the people who are professionally successful, they know where they can procrastinate. So we need to choose our wise basically. Okay, the sixth is the ABCDE method. That should be easy. A meaning like things that are must do, things everybody has in their life that they must do and they cannot be delayed, postponed, eliminated, deleted, delegated, that you must do. For example, looking for a new house to move, you must look for a new house, you must do your homework, you must, you cannot just leave it at that because maybe your contract is ending, maybe like, you have to move out. And sometimes it happens in my field because I'm a social worker, that happens. People kind of procrastinate looking for a house and doing their homework so much so like they're 3 days away from being homeless. Like in Finland, the best part is that the state won't let you rough sleep, but you need to know the important things like, so A list is a must do thing, B is should do, like should do probably the things that the supervisor has given you a task of list to do, like what you're supposed to do. C is like nice to do things. If you do it, good. If you don't do it, good, because there are no consequences whatsoever. D are those things that you can delegate. You don't have to do it yourself. We always have if you're working, you always have interns, you have like practice workers, you have people under you, and you're supervising them where you can delegate some things. Sometimes people are workaholics, they shouldn't be so. I mean, sometimes it's very easy to delegate to delegate stuff and be more productive in life. And I mean, being workaholic is good, but you don't have to do it all, and you don't have to know it all. So learn where which tasks they're easy to delegate. For example, if I, in my profession, if I have an option, I would give the translations to people. I would give the graphic designing, the ad making, the marketing to other people. So I don't have to do that as a project worker. I need to coordinate. I need to contact other people. I can easily delegate these things to an intern. Or and e-things can be eliminated completely, so they are really unimportant. You don't have to do them at all, but you need to know like which are those things that can be eliminated. We don't want important ones going out of your list now, do we? Okay, 7, accountability. Understand clearly what sort of work you're accountable for. I mean, this is something even as an adult, excuse me, this is something, accountability, even as an adult worker, people who have been working long, they kind of like, they don't know what they're accountable for. So they would take um, a lot of time for things that they're not accountable for, like little things, the unimportant things. Now they are putting in work, they are doing, they're kind of making their income halal, they are doing work, they're earning, but those are kind of the things that are not in the end of the day gonna help the productivity of the company, the team, the manager. So you need to know, like, if somebody is coming up to you, a colleague, and somebody who needs their help, you should know the boundary, the like where you can be like, okay, this is how you can do it. You have to make them work oriented. You have to help them out in a way that they can go and complete the task all on their own, because you're not working for your colleague, you're working for your company. You need to know to say no to others. Like, you can be helpful, but you need to let them know that, okay, you've got your own work, a list of work to do, and that other people are kind of like coming in between. So usually, what I've noticed in Finland, like, people don't mind these small things. I don't know about any other country because I've never worked in Pakistan, but I feel like in some cultures that might, being very straight or honest would be taken negatively. But something in Finland, like, people really do tell you to, like, what they think about it. So block the white noise. Like, you really have to block it, because we share rooms, we share desks. So you really need to concentrate on your own work. That is important. And take work time seriously. Yes, take work time seriously. Don't take personal calls unless they're very important. Don't make long calls at work. Don't do a lot of internet surfing unless it's important, or unless it's work related. For example, if you're looking for some work related shopping to do, or like if you're looking for work related marketing to do, that's okay then. But you don't just waste your time at work. When it's time to work, you need to be honest with your work, with your company, with yourself. And preparation, yes, for some people, for example, it's very important, like, what sort of place they have for sitting, what sort of, like, if they have a lot of clutter on the desk, they need their time, they need to clear it up, they need to manage these little things around themselves. So prepare for your work before you start your work. Don't sit on a whatever suits you best, but I would say that a cluttered desk never helps anybody. uh, and you should prepare your work before you start doing it. And maybe adjust your seat, computer screens, little things. Just go use a restroom before you start. And what else? Focus on one task at a time. I don't know about others. I can't generalize the whole thing. This might be relative like all the other things, but we should focus on what, I mean, to be more productive, in order to gain more productivity and success in our tasks, we should focus on one task at a time. Usually start with the most difficult one in a day. That's what I'm going to keep on repeating throughout this workshop. Multitasking slows you down. It definitely does. And practice mindfulness in your free time. Practice mindfulness to improve your focus. Sometimes people just can't help it. It's the way they're made up. Like, they have to multitask. But personally, for me, I don't like multitasking. I always choose one task, and when I finish it completely, then I take on the other one. But maybe maybe it works for some people. Like I said, we cannot always generalize this behavior. Okay, develop your skills. Yes, that's like a good question. When you when you search whatever field you're from, like I personally know all three of you that are participating, every profession has their self-development books, and then there are some general self-development books, like whatever we are talking about right now is coming out of a book that I tried to improve myself on, we should keep up to date. Okay, we have studied, we have done certain courses, a number of, and then now we're working, but from time to time, maybe once every 4 months, once every 8 months, we should read a book that can help us develop ourselves, like behavioral development books, psychological development books, marketing skills development books. Like we should try to gain more efficient knowledge, which is gonna help us become faster at our work. So, number 12 point to be more productive is to do SWOT analysis. So I guess everybody knows what SWOT is. SWOT stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if you take a page, you make four quadrants on it for SWOT. So you write your strengths on one side, you write your weaknesses, you write your present opportunities. For example, you're living in Finland, what sort of opportunities you have? You have free education, but what sort of threats you have? You don't have a lot of stuff that you can do in English, etc. So there's always that SWOT analysis. It's good to do from time to time. I think I did mine 4 years ago, maybe. But that clarified a lot of things. It's like mind mapping. It's like putting a visualization of your weaknesses and strengths in front of you. And when when you have done your SWOT analysis, focus on your strengths. Yes, start focusing on your strengths. What are your strengths as a in your personality? So identify weaknesses. You also need to be very clear about what sort of weaknesses you have. For example, it's your bad time management. For example, you're the sort of person who is giving more time to little tasks, unimportant ones. That might be a weakness, and so on. And now we need to talk about how we can find our own motivation. um, for example, for some people, reaching a deadline that day when you just stick it out. Excuse me, I need to mute up. Excuse me. Okay, for some people, the motivation can be reaching a deadline, or getting a fiscal bonus. Who doesn't like that at the end of a year? In some fields, in some professions, you do get it. Depending on the, I think, outcome of the revenue of that company. Appreciation by the boss, always a good thing when you get that good feedback, like what you have been doing. Reward system. Sometimes some companies give you rewards, for example, coupons, entertainment coupons, lunch coupons, or just some gift cards. So self rewards, for example, if you're doing a certain task that you think was difficult, and in your mind you're gonna, because I'm a foodie, I always think about, like, I'm gonna treat myself to this big bowl of brownie outside. So self-rewarding is good, or taking a vacation, kind of self-reward is good. Promotion at the end of the year, at the end of 2 years. So find your motivation. What motivates you to be a better worker, to be a better person, and to get more success via productivity, and stop procrastinating. Okay, energy levels. Okay, we always have that. We knowing our body, and especially when we are above 30, we kind of start reading our signs, reading the physical form aspects of our health. So we know our energy levels, when our energy is high and when it is low. So in order to be more productive and to gain maximum out of a day, we need to know what energy levels we have and how to optimize using them. For example, now that most of the people have been working from home, at least in technical side as well as in social side, I don't know about medical and other services, because if you're able to work from home, it kind of gets tedious and very uh, difficult to separate work and house life, and you kind of have those constant, because you're constantly in the same environment, you need to separate yourself. So what I usually do is focus on my energy levels. I try to start my day not very early, because that's when I'm really low on energy, but after 10. So we need to optimize our usage of energy. And then again, like you can we can, because I cannot, there isn't much of time, otherwise would have shed some light on the connection between productivity and sleep as well. But maybe we can separately individually read on that. So like read some articles on what's the connection between productivity and sleep. Take a healthy sleep in a day. Take refreshing breaks, like when you're taking a break, even if it's going out to walk your dog outside, or going out to pick your post from the post office, doing groceries or whatever. Like if you're taking a break from work for half an hour, for 1 hour, just let it be a refreshing one. And then don't take any work calls or something. Just take your mind off work and then come back to work again. So number 16 is, sorry, optimism. Now it's kind of cliche to say like we should be more optimistic and that's going to help you be more productive. I mean, I don't, one thing, believe in generalizations. The second thing, I mean, cliches are not for me. So I feel like no one can be optimistic all of a sudden. If you have this really huge project that you need to get it over with, and you need to write reports and show results and bring revenues and for the company, I mean, it's kind of like a cliche thing. I wouldn't say like be optimistic, but then again, being optimistic doesn't mean like everything's hunky-dory, like everything's going to turn out the way you want it to be. Being optimistic also can mean like just try to ignore, block out the negative um, side of things that you have in your mind, the doubts that you have in your mind. I mean, the doubts are some things that always stay there, but those are some things that we can't help ourselves about. I mean, what if this happens? What if my boss doesn't like what I've done this whole year? What if, what ifs? You cannot help what ifs. These are these just negative feelings that kind of overall take you down and bring you a lot of stress. So try to be optimistic by trying to block out the uh, what ifs, buts, and also the negatives of doing a task at hand, basically. Technology distraction, yes, especially working. When you're working, you should separate when you're taking a 5 minute break and maybe just scrolling through your mobile, or when you're working and then constantly checking out your WhatsApp or your Facebook or your Instagram. I mean, um, unless it's work related, you shouldn't even have the phone like right in front of your eyes. If somebody has to call, there's always like everybody has this thing that there's an emergency, and then you can message me here, you can call me here. But uh, just for the sake of it, just for the sake of leisure, just separate the technological distraction from your work tasks. And then again, we're kind of like putting the bracket close again. So we're coming back to those list of tasks, like I said, which would be repeated just because they're very important. I would say like break down tasks. Uh, it's easy to swallow a frog if it's small pieces rather than taking it a whole and it's gonna choke you and then you would die. Nobody can do that. That's gross. But I do kind of find this analogy interesting. Uh, but the thing is like break down your tasks into micro tasks. And for example, if you want to be applying for a new job, and you need to start by updating your LinkedIn here and there, maybe a good profile picture and all those updates that you've had in your CV and resume. So maybe then start asking for references, some other task. Just do it one bit at a time, one frog at a time. Don't think about it as a huge, ugly monster of work that you need to do. Just do it one step at a time, and it's going to help you move forward and more productive and help you gain your goal in the end. So, take special time to eat that frog. Meaning, like for example, you have a task at hand that you have been delaying constantly. You need to take special time out from your calendar. You need to take 1 hour, half hour, whatever you think is gonna help you achieve that task. Just but at that time you have to excuse others. You have to let people know that you're working on something very important, so please kindly do not disturb. I don't know if it's a good idea. One of my friends was asking me. She's a social worker as well. Like sometimes when she's writing reports, and she really hates it when people are kind of just coming in to seek help. So there was this "Do not disturb" sign in Tiger Shop. So she's like, "Do you think it's kind of like very passive aggressive if I put that on my desk when I really want not to be disturbed?" And we were thinking, yeah, it kind of might be for some people outright aggressive, not even passive aggressive, but you need to excuse yourself from others, that you're trying to attain a certain task for which you have taken certain time out. So take special time out to achieve that difficult task. Number 20 is that when you're right there, you know you can do it. You just have to put in more tens of hours. You just have to put maybe 10 days, a week time. Just find your flow. Don't let anything distract you. Don't break your flow, please, because when you're writing a report, when you're writing a thesis, when you're writing a program or whatever, you're in the flow. You're kind of your the ideas are coming back to you. So don't break that. Be in your flow, find your flow, and then work till it's complete. Everybody knows when they're ending the task. Maybe when they're ending a task, it might seem very difficult, but just keep on going um, till you know that you're going to achieve it. It's very near, it's within your grasp. So this is the second part of my presentation, this workshop, and I'm sorry I really have to rush it because I feel like doing this distantly is not like being face to face. When you're face to face, you can ask questions, and it's kind of a different rapport when you're doing workshops face to face. But I try to, in my opinion, I try to make them short and to the point, my workshops, so that participants don't get bored, and they try to gain as much and as fast as possible. So if you have any questions, you can always ask me. And frankly, we're not a lot of people right now, but so we can have a good Q&A today. Okay, so because I said that this is a cultural and a religious sensitive social work, which I'm doing with Amal right now, because when you're in social work field, you don't we cannot put the same paintbrush to everybody. People are coming from different cultures, different religions. And it's kind of like slowly and gradually this is improving with time, because we're shedding light to what sort of clients need what sort of help and how better we can understand their problems. So if we're talking as like um, Muslims, and we're talking about the importance of time. Uh, in Surah Asr, Allah says, by time. He swears by time, like he says, by time, indeed, human beings are in a state of loss. It means like in my understanding, I have always taken it to mean that ever since the day we are born, our clock starts ticking. We are accountable for time. Nothing is as scarce as time in this world, because we are allotted a certain amount of time. And then when that runs out, we will be accountable for how we spent our life, what we did. And as Muslims, we have this faith that wasting time is answerable in Islam. Wasting resources, wasting time, wasting your health, so wasting words, anything that we waste that has been given to us by Allah, we have to be answerable for that. So we should respect time, because time is scarce. We don't have a lot of it. We need to maximize our use of time in a productive and positive way as a Muslim. Um, uh, Okay, and this thing where I said that the moment we are born, our glass starts moving, and the sand starts running out. Yes, so we are in a state of decline. So, okay, so we should divide the time that we have as human beings. We spend it in three things: in thoughts, in conversations, and in actions. So, in thoughts, what we can do as good Muslims is that we should strive to make our thoughts good, pure. Because when we do make our thoughts good, like mm, we don't doubt other Muslims brothers and sisters intentions. The first thing we do as a Muslim, we might not even backbite. What we start doing is we start doubting other people's intentions, that she did something this and this, maybe she was thinking that and that. Sometimes it's more inclined towards negative doubts rather than positive ones, so we should just always try to keep our thoughts pure, not unnecessarily thinking bad about any other Muslim or human being. And when we make our thoughts, we make a struggle. We kind of work hard on making our thoughts pure. Our conversations also become well and good. But we need to start with the first basic parus, like like taso, like basic level. That is our thoughts. And we should have meaningful conversations. When we're sitting in a group of friends, we should try even harder what we're talking about. Does it benefit anybody at all? No gossiping and backbiting, of course, but well, something that helps us in this deen, in this dunya, in our lives. So um, okay, when we are not accountable for our thoughts, the first thing, unless we put them into conversations and we act upon them, that we as a Muslim have a firm belief on, I guess, that when we're like thoughts, we're not answerable for that. But as when we start conversing about that, when we take some actions on that, then we have to answer them. So let's strive to keep the source clean. I guess that shows us some importance of time in Islam. But so thank you. So that was all for today. And let us know if what you think. If you want to give certain feedback, you can reach me through my social media, because I personally know all the participants that were already present here. And let me know. It was really nice having you girls here. And thank you so much for taking your time out. And we did finish some 15 minutes ahead of time that I had planned, but because there were no Q&A sessions, so I feel thank you so much again. So, okay, yes.
Thank you, Umama. It was very useful, very well spoken, and very well presented workshop. And I really like this concept of eating the frog the first thing in the morning, although it sounds disgusting, but I think it is helpful because in the morning you have like your maximum physical and mental like abilities ready for the
Exactly.
task, and if you waste that in like small things and like push the difficult task towards the end of the day, and
Mhm.
when you don't have energy, it builds up, and then like of course it
Exactly.
uh, it seems
Um,
impossible to be done.
Frankly
So
speaking, I completely agree with you. And we might have noticed we sometimes try to procrastinate about prayer times, because prayer times are like so different here in Finland in winters and summers. And then sometimes it's so that we kind of even like miss our prayer because we kind of got procrastinated, and then the energy level was so low, like we kind of like don't end up praying at all. But with every productive task that stands for everything that we do in life, like we really need to just do it when we think we can do it. But thank you so much for your feedback, Sarah. It was so nice to have you.
thank you so much. It was very nice, and I will try to keep up with Amal. It was very nice. It was my first session, but I really liked it. Very nice work. Keep
You're
it up.
welcome. You're welcome. And inshallah, within within 1 month, I'm going to have a seminar as well as a third productivity workshop. So I'm going to send you the invitation again.
Okay, inshallah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So yes. So, okay, then I would be ending this session. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Mina. Thank you, Sarah. So maybe we meet next time within a month, inshallah, when I know the details for the next workshop. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.